want to talk about why I bought the V6 Challenger instead of the V8. And one of those reasons, believe it or not, is performance. When I bought the car, and when I was looking into getting the car, I was comparing it to the next up model, which is the 5.7 liter HEMI V8 RT. And of course, I got the 3.6 liter Pentastar V6 SXT Challenger. And when you compared the two's horsepower, 305 horsepower for the 3.6 liter Pentastar and 375 horsepower for the 5.7 liter HEMI, you're only looking at a 70 horsepower difference. And when you factor in the weight of the car, the 5.7 HEMI, the RT, weighs about 400 pounds heavier than the V6. So now that 70 horsepower gap is a lot smaller when you factor in the RT's a much heavier car. It's harder to get a, extra weight is going to slow your car down basically. So the lighter the better. So that 70 horsepower difference might only be 30 or 40 now when you factor in the weight difference. And I think it shows in my previous videos of how quick my car can take off, and I'm hitting 0 to 60s in the 5-second range. My best was a 5-second flat, and I've seen videos with the 5.7 HEMI hitting a 6-second 0 to 60, a little over 6 seconds. I mean, it's a heavy car, but it also has problems with wheel spin because it does have a lot more torque. When you compare torque, it's got a lot more torque. But that can just be a detriment when you're trying to take off fast, when you're trying to win a drag race or something like that. So I had to think about all these things and compare all these things when making a decision of which car would be better for me. And it was clearly the V6 for me right now. And I figure, obviously, if I want more power in the future, I can either trade the car or I can boost the car with a supercharger or turbocharger kit. So another reason why I bought the car, though, is going to be the fuel economy. Now, the 5.7 HEMI it does pretty good for a V8. It gets 25 miles a gallon highway, and I think that's pretty good. But it's not 30. I get, the V6 is rated at 30 mpg highway, and I drive my car. I drive my car every day, so the practicality, when you think about it, you're driving it every day, that extra 5 miles a gallon would be nice. But it's not a big deciding factor. I wasn't too worried about the miles per gallon, but it is nice to get a little bit more mpgs. And also, you could check out my other video where I've shown that if you run the car at 55 miles per hour, it's in 8th gear at that rate. You can see I'm going about 55 now, and it's just probably about 1,300 RPMs. And if you set the cruise at 55, you can get over 40 mpg in the V6. So if you haven't seen that video, go check it out on my channel, MoparDad84. Like, share, and subscribe. And there's a lot of other videos about the car on there. So fuel economy, obviously, you're going to get a lot more in the V6. Not only are you getting better fuel economy, but the HEMI recommends you run mid-grade or high-grade, and the V6 recommends you just run 87. So not only is the gas cheaper, you don't use as much gas. So that's nice. Another advantage the V6 has, it's a little cheaper up front. Your initial cost is a little cheaper. I think if you bought them new, I think the V6 is around 30 grand, 35,000 for the RT and 40,000 for the Scat Pack. So right off the bat, you're about 5 grand cheaper. So you gotta weigh, is it worth is it worth $5 grand more for 70 extra horsepower? You know, and it's really not that big of a difference. Like I said, when you factor in the weight difference too of the cars. So the initial price, you're saving about $5 grand. And I think, you know, like, I think the Scat Pack's about 40, the RT's about 35, and the V6 is 30. So you're saving about $5 grand right off the bat. But here's an even bigger one, and the main reason, the top reason why, probably the most influential reason of why I bought the V6 over the V8 is the insurance. That's where the big difference in savings is there. When you buy, when I first was checking into the cars, when I was looking at the V6, and I already knew I wanted the V6, I was already set on it. Just everything I talked about, it just seemed more practical, and it seemed more right for me. Because if it felt like, I mean, I test drove the car, and you know, that's the difference with a lot of people. I think they don't give the V6 a chance. They don't drive it. They just automatically think they have to have the V8 and go jump in that. But the difference with me, I actually test drove the V6, realized it's got a good bit of power, and you know, is it worth the extra $5 grand for the RT or 10 grand for the Scat Pack? And I didn't think so. But when you look at insurance, that's a huge difference in insurance. You know, you save $5 grand initially from buying the RT. But you look at insurance, and I called with my insurance provider, and the first quote they gave me was for the V8, and it was $2,000 a year, over $2 grand a year. And the V6, when I got the quote for the V6, it was less than $1,000 a year, a little less than $1,000. We're gonna get on it a little bit here, so you hear the exhaust a little bit. Give it a little bit there, show you that the V6 isn't slow. You know, sounds pretty good with some mods. But insurance is a big difference, and you can put supercharger on the V6 turbochargers, which I don't have nothing like that right now, and you're still going to be paying the same amount for insurance. Whereas the V8, you're going to be paying a lot more. You know, you can, if you put a supercharger or a turbocharger on this car, it'll be faster than even the Scat Pack, which is making almost 500 horsepower. This car with a supercharger on it will put out Scat Pack numbers, and with a turbocharger on it will put out higher than Scat Pack numbers with a good turbocharger kit. And we're talking like, you could take that $5,000 that you saved from buying the V6 and put the supercharger on it, and boom, you know, you're making more horsepower. You're making about the same power as a Scat Pack. You're as fast as a Scat Pack. That $5,000 that you saved from not buying the RT, you're not only faster than the RT, you're faster than the Scat Pack, which is 10 grand more. I mean, something to think about. But again, the difference in insurance is huge. It's double the amount. For me, it was double the amount to buy the HEMI over the V6. Again, $2,000 a year for the HEMI, $1,000 a year for the V6, roughly. And most people get a 7 or 8 year loan on their car, so you figure out $1,000 a year difference across 7 years is another $7 grand. So by not buying the RT and getting the V6, you not only saved the initial $5 grand, you saved another $7 over the life of your loan. So you've saved $12,000 not getting the RT, and that's just over the life of your loan. If you're one that the people that plans on keeping the car forever, then you're going to save more than that, because you're going to continue to save money. You know, $1,000 a year. It's going to continually be cheaper for the V6 than the V8. You know, so something to think about, and that's just, you know, that's just it for me. You know, and the big one was the insurance. I knew it was going to be a lot higher for the V8, and I couldn't see paying an extra $1,000 a year for 70 horsepower when I know that with the mods that I have on my car now, I can run with an RT, no problem. And the mods that I have on my car only equal probably about $1,000, maybe a little more, with everything I've done to my car. And I've posted faster 0 to, you know, the 0 to 60. The RT HEMI is rated at a 5.1 0 to 60, and I posted a 5-second flat. I don't get that every time I run, but I'm always in the 5-second range, and the 5 seconds flat was the best I've gotten so far with my car. But I'm not done modding either. So I was very happy with that number, and I was happy that I got that quickly, because I've only got a cold air intake, Flowmaster exhaust, and a BBK throttle body. And the BBK throttle body made a huge difference. Roll into it from second here a little bit. Pretty good pickup. A lot of people don't realize how quick a V6 sports car is today. It's not like it was years ago. You know, V6 today can, and I've said in other videos, it can beat V8s from just, you know, my car's a 2015, and if you look at a 2010 Mustang GT, we're about the same horsepower. People don't realize that the V6s today are like the V8s of yesterday. There's really not much difference. But the V8s today versus the V6s today, of course, the V8s have a little higher output. If you're looking at like the Scat Pack, it has a lot more output stock than a V8 than the V6 does. But like I said, obviously, if you put a supercharger on the car, this car is much lighter than the Scat Pack, and it will be producing the same horsepower numbers. So obviously, power to weight ratio, this is going to be a lot quicker, just with nothing more than a supercharger. So to me, you know, the V6 was the clear winner. It wasn't too hard when factoring in those 5 things. The power of the V6 nowadays wasn't much difference than the 5.7 Hemi. The fuel economy is much better. The weight of the car is much lower. This car weighs about 3,800 pounds, and an RT weighs about 4,200 pounds. And everybody sees these cars, they think, oh, V6 is such a heavy car. They're thinking that the car weighs what the V8 version weighs. No, it's quite a bit lighter. It's still a heavy car, don't get me wrong. 3,800 pounds isn't light for a sports car. I'd like it to be about 3,000 pounds. But it is what it is. It's 3,800 pounds. And I have managed to take about 100 pounds off of it. You can check out that video on my page as well if you haven't seen it. How to lose 100 pounds off your Challenger. So I would say I'm about 3,700 pounds maybe. And an RT, stock RT, is going to weigh about 4,200 pounds. So that's 500 pounds of difference in weight. That's huge, you know. So a lot of people think, oh, V6 pulling that kind of weight around. It's not over 4,000. They're thinking it's a 2-ton car over 4,000 pounds. Because that's what the RT is. That's what the V8s are. But the V6 is not as heavy. It's an all aluminum engine. It's all aluminum block and heads. And it's a lot smaller engine. It's only 3.6 liters, but it's putting out over 300 horsepower. So it's a pretty nice, it's a pretty well built engine. So I like it. All in all, I'm very happy with my decision to pick the V6. I do have some other mods that I want to put on before a turbocharger or supercharger, but I do hope to in the future someday twin turbocharge the car is what I'd like to do. That's a little more expensive than the superchargers, but it also puts out more horsepower. Yeah, I've seen turbo kits putting out over 500 horsepower to the wheels on this same car with no other mods, and that's huge, because if it's putting 500 to the wheels, that means the engine's putting out about 560, because every car loses some power through the drive line. When it's on the dyno, it's not going to put out as much as what the manufacturer says it is putting out. So 510 to the wheel, about 507 I think is what it was rated at, the one I was looking at, 506 or 507. So that would mean it's putting out about 560 at the flywheel, because this car loses 55 to 60 horsepower through the drive line. So that's pretty impressive. That's what I'd like to do, is twin turbos, and that's with no other mods. 510 to the wheels, 506, 507 to the wheels. That'd be about 560 at the flywheel. That's with no other mods, so it wouldn't be hard to figure you could make 600 horsepower in the V6 pretty quick with the turbocharger, good exhaust system, a good tune on the car. Especially if you turn the boost up a little higher than what they're rating it at, 600 horsepower would be pretty easy. And you're going to be 600 horsepower in a much lighter car. So I'm happy with it like it is, but in the future I would like to turbocharge the car. But that's going to be it for today. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Check out my other videos, and come back here next week for new videos. And I'll see you in the next one. Mopar Dad 84 out.